Welcome on this crisp autumn day to the oldest continually operating amusement park in the United States, Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut. We hadn't been here in several years, and I'll get to the reasons why a little later, but we came back because unlike many other parks, in fact most other parks, their fall events were not skewed to horror. They decided to go against what other parks are doing and instead offer a family-friendly retro fall event. And we decided to check it out and see what it was like. And the first thing I noticed was this beautiful new facade around the entrance. And this reflected sort of a lot of what I saw in the park. Makeover that really brightened the place up. So let's go inside through the tunnel. It's signature tunnel there as you enter. And that puts us on the entrance concourse. You see the ticket booths in bright yellow. And then over here, where they used to have this small fiberglass carousel horse, they now have this massive yellow steed rearing up with a witch's hat on it. And you can see all the hay bales around. Notice that big orange track in the distance. That's Phobia, one of the newer steel coasters they have. And here in front of us are the actual entrance gates and the security gates. And let's pass through those. And here we are on Main Street, which was designed to look very much like a street that you'd see in an old New England town. Behind these buildings is one of the park's two wooden roller coasters, the Wildcat. Now from here you could go left or you could go right. Going left would take you south, going right would take you north. And we're going to go counterclockwise around the park, starting over here by the Potato Patch. Potato Patch was inherited from Kennywood. Kennywood Park in Pittsburgh bought Lake Compounce in 1997, and that really began its renaissance. Up to then, it was a family-owned park that was really in hard times. Hershey had bought it and pretty much leveled the entire park and rebuilt it in a very antiseptic way with just white and blue buildings. Kennywood, though, rebuilt it as a sort of fantasy reimagining of what a turn-of-the-century park would look like. And this season, when we went there, it had been given a fresh new coat of paint everywhere and looked just gorgeous. Now, what you just saw there was one of the trick-or-treat stations. To the first 100 children, they have trick-or-treat stations spaced all throughout the park, and kids can go over there and get a little trick-or-treat bag. And the station you just saw had three witches, I guess, but they look more like Charles Dickens characters. And it's all very family-friendly, nothing scary. What we're walking through now, speaking of family-friendly, is the park's Kiddieland area. And you can see Drum Circus ahead of us. On the right was a stage where they had performances by a magician the day we were there. And over here is the kiddie bumper car. So as you can see, there's plenty for little children to do for the whole day. They basically have a whole amusement park to themselves. Plus, there are plenty of family rides in the park that little children can do with their parents. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about this park. It really was truly a family park, the kind I like, where parents, adults and children can do a lot of the stuff here together. And the reason that we stopped coming here was because of a sort of shift in the focus of the management. They were bought out by Park Reunidos in Spain, and for a while it was business as usual. The park didn't change much. And then they removed the Sky Ride. Now the Sky Ride, which I'll have a link to in the description, the Sky Ride was amazing. It went up the side of the mountain and across the mountain and back down, and it was an amazing ride. But there was an accident on a similar ride at a different park, and so the management decided to just simply remove the Sky Ride, not to modify it to make it safer. Although there had never been an accident on it, they just completely removed it one year. And that was one of the things that Karen and I really loved about this park, was that Sky Ride. So we just said, we're not going to bother. They also began bringing in a lot more thrill rides, like you saw that Frisbee ride on the left. You have Phobia. It seemed like the park was getting more like a Six Flags park, and we didn't really want to go to that type of park. So we figured we'd try it today, and look at this. There's a scarecrow in there giving out trick-or-treat bags. Behind that is a stack of hay bales laid out as a little maze for kids. There's a pumpkin patch so kids can go pick out a pumpkin. Over here is Dino Expedition, which kids can just wander through, and like so many of these exhibits across the country right now at parks, you can go and look at fake dinosaurs. Zoomerang, the stock Vekoma boomerang coaster, wasn't running the day we were there. That's actually one of the smoother versions of those. And over here, I guess he was on a lunch break or something, but there was a pirate, a friendly pirate, standing there giving out trick-or-treat bags. Over here on the right is Zoomer's Gas and Go, which is a really nice sort of antique car ride, 50s themed. Pretty elaborate layout for a small plot of land they have it on. It's a really nice ride. And way back in the distance, if you were to go back to the north over there, past the flying scooters there, was the Haunted Graveyard. Now, the Haunted Graveyard was a benefit for juvenile diabetes, and the park had been doing it for decades. And the group that ran the Haunted Graveyard decided to move it elsewhere. And so, actually to Quasi Amusement Park down the road. And so they don't have that absolutely horrifying Haunted Graveyard that they used to. So they changed their approach to Halloween. This is a new restaurant to us when we were here, Timberjack Chow House, and they do serve veggie burgers at various locations in the park, so we appreciate that. There's Sawmill Plunge. That was not running while we were there. Sawmill Plunge is one of the best flume rides I've ever been on. It's like so much of this park, it was built into the mountain. It goes up the side of the mountain and then down. And as you can see by that 175 in Hedges and the 175 you saw at the entrance, this was the park's 175th anniversary this year. There's the Twister. Thunder and Lightning is over on the right here. That's a screaming swing ride. It's really intense. You can see the big Ferris wheel. And then next to that on the left is the entrance to Phobia, which is a pretty intense shuttle coaster. And this area here, where Phobia was, there used to be an Enterprise, a stock flat ride. And there used to be a path, and it was basically a circle around there where you could go back onto the Midway that took you toward the south end of the park. But with Phobia being the size it is, they ended up having a dead end over here. And so you can't really go any further down there. That's the entrance to the Ferris wheel, Phobia, and that's about it. So from here, you'd have to go on a left. And over here on the left is another eatery, the Pizza Palace, and they have a grilled cheese shop there. There's the big Sky Coaster, which was idle while we were there. And like so many parks, they of course were having trouble this year finding help, so a lot of the food booths were closed. And to compensate for that, just like many other parks across the country have done, they brought in food trucks. So you'll see some of those as we continue on. In front of us now is the back end of the Wildcat and Ghost Hunt, which is a really fun interactive dark ride where you try to shoot these cartoony ghosts going through. It's one of my favorite dark rides. And now coming up in front of us is the entrance to Boulder Dash, and Boulder Dash is the park's signature ride. It's actually one of the most amazing pieces of roller coaster engineering ever created. They built the roller coaster into the side of the mountain, and it's really thrilling and actually remarkably smooth for the intense amount of speed you get on that ride. A lot of airtime on it. Unfortunately, the day we were there, it was closed. Oh, and we can watch Phobia go through its paces here. And that's it. That's the ride. But it looks really intense. So we'll continue heading south along this path here. It's a pretty interesting way they designed this. There's a bridge that you have to go across to get to the station. And here comes the Wildcat. In 2017, they got new trains. You see those trains there are by Great Coasters International, which are some of the best roller coaster trains in the business. And they had the whole ride retracked by Martin and Vlemings, who are some of the best trackers in the business. And when we rode it in 2021, it was incredibly painful, and I couldn't understand that. But one of the reasons might have been that the ride attendants were stapling people into the seats, pushing the lap bar down as far as they could, and that's not good. You got to have a little breathing room in order to move with the coaster. So that might have been why it was so painful. So this would be the photo booth and the exit for Boulder Dash. And now over here, you can see these little sprockets. This is Downtime, which is the park's drop tower. Interesting that it's located in one of the lower spots in the park. You know, this seems like it would have been a great candidate for putting up high on one of the hillsides, but they put it down here, and it still gives you a pretty impressive view of the area. Notice all the game booths along the left are closed because they have no help. And you can see over here is one of the food trucks for some sweets. There's Downtime's entrance. And there's the fun clock that they have for Downtime. Past couple times we were here, it wasn't running, and it's glad to see that the park is keeping up their maintenance. And there you can see the station for Boulder Dash, and the brake run, and the track going off to the distance. And we're going to circle around to the far west end of this area. There's another stretch of Midway a little bit east of us, but we're going to go down here because there are more rides. The big building in front of us is the bumper cars. And there you can see a ride that was here, and I can't remember what it was. It was a spin-and barf ride, but I can't remember exactly what it was. On the map, it's simply listed as a smoking area, so I don't know if the park has any other plans for that in the future. And over there, through the bushes, you can see the entrance to the Wildcat, and it was pretty humorous. They took one of the old Philadelphia Toboggan Company trains, and it's over the entrance, and they put skeletons in it with their arms raised up. Now this eatery over here on the left is listed on the map as a Pink's, but you'll notice all of the signage has been removed. So I don't know if they're going to change that or whether they just take it down for the winter or what, but it wasn't open when we were there. Now this, normally over here, you would walk toward the south end of the park, but that was blocked off. There was no access to the south end at all. And here's the carousel that they have. It was playing Halloween tunes the day we were there. Normally the band organ's running. And this blue building over here is the oldest building in the park. That is the park's big ballroom that also houses the Crock-Pot restaurant. And there's the Wildcat station on the left. And in front of us now is Clipper Cove, which is one of the 3 water park sections. And this is really where the park has thrown a lot of its focus in massively expanding their water park offerings. It used to be you'd have this little Clipper Cove, and then you have a little section near the beach where their sort of signature lighthouse is. But as you're going to see, we're going to walk a little further here, and you're going to see how incredibly expansive the water park is getting. And there used to be, way over on the left, a sort of hillside with a forest, and that's all been leveled now, all the way down. And it looks like they're getting ready to just fill that whole thing with water park. So let's go up on the deck of the Crock-Pot here, and you can have a better look at that south end. Crock-Pot is a sort of cafeteria-style restaurant. They've got a lot of offerings there. So there's the Lake Compounce. And The yellow building in the distance is the trolley. They actually run a vintage trolley that goes from that point to the south end further down. And that's where the Skyride station used to be located. But also a little further down from there is Thunder Rapids, which is one of the best river rapids rides you can find. Now, way out there, you can see a few trees, but that used to be a hillside, and it's all flat now, and you can see the yellow water slide out there. That's how far out the water park has expanded from where it started, really, by this lighthouse. So it seems like, and that's called Crocodile Cove, the big water park. So they have a wave pool out there and cabanas you can rent, and that seems like it's really where currently the park is putting its focus. On the right here, the pizza shop, the park has had some of the best pizza I've ever had, and I was trying to put my finger on why that was, and I think I've figured it out. I think they make their pizza dough out of fried dough because it just has that taste and texture, but it's really good pizza. And there are people amazingly walking after coming off the Wildcat. And there's the bathhouse for the water park. And you can see another section of the water park there with a wave pool. And just beyond that, the green and purple thing you see is Mammoth Falls, which is one of their tube slides. And over here is the shop for the water park. And that is the Compounce Railway, which is a nice leisurely train ride that goes all the way down to the south end, and that's another way to get to the south end. Normally it would drop you off there, but because there was nothing to do down there and it was closed off, it was just a single trip. It would go all the way down and come back. And there's the proclamation of the park being the oldest in the United States. Again, look at the colors. Everything has such wonderful, bright colors. And I love some of the architectural details, like the Main Street sign on the left and the big archway. So, if you are in the Bristol, Connecticut area, I strongly recommend making a stop at Lake Compounce, especially if Boulder Dash is open, because that is a coaster not to miss.